Hello and welcome to another episode of Movie Bollocks. Well, I think it's episode 5, isn't it? So yeah, that means, guess what? There's another 4 to choose from. Of the previous podcasts, we started out with Paul Knight, BAFTA-winning editor of Peaky Blinders. We've had Paul Chanter from Acid Rain. We have had Ed Box and Gary Foley from the Geordie Mafia and various bands. And now we have my good friend Phillip Jackson, who most of you will remember from Poirot as Detective Inspector Japp, and others will remember him from movies like Mike Bassett, TV programs. Well, it's just so many to mention. He is. I mean, we've known each other a few years now, and we're sort of neighbours. We live a street apart, but we actually met doing a short film. We had a scene together. And it was only a fairly short scene, but we kind of just went off and worked it out, and just the rhythm of what we wanted to do and all the rest of it, and it worked so well, and it was so easy. I was only on set for probably in total about, I don't know, 2-3 hours, but our actual time we spent working together was probably about 5 minutes. But we got on really, really well, and both found out in that short time that we were Leeds fans, and a friendship was born. And funnily enough, such a friendship that it didn't cross my mind to get Phil on the podcast. And then I realised that I was an idiot, and so he kindly agreed to meet up in the pub and have a chat about his very, very interesting career, which has spanned, I'm not going to say how many years because I don't know, but it's a lot of years. And as you know, as written in the description of this podcast, you are going to hear some great stories and some in-depth stuff and some frivolous little bits and pieces as well. So normally I'd have a good old chat with you right up front, but because it's Phil and because there's going to be a fair few people coming to this for the first time, I thought we'd get straight into the podcast, and that way you can choose to whether to listen to my my ramblings and my idiocy later on. But let's get straight into the interview. So this is myself and Phil having a chat in the pub, and we managed to get the Leeds United Our Champions chat out of the way early doors just for you. Here we are, Phil and I, a couple of weeks ago. Well, hello everybody. You find us in the pub, and when I say us, I mean with screen great my good friend, actor Phillip Jackson, or to me, Phil. Hello, Phil.
Hello there.
Hello.
Yeah, screen great, very good friend. Not so sure about that.
Fuck off.
I'm only joking.
We're off to a great start. To all of you listening, you want to be extremely grateful to both Phil and myself, because we've just spent the last half hour talking Leeds United, because we're both Leeds fans and Leeds have just been promoted, so we've spared you all of that. But
we don't need to keep on talking about the fact that Leeds United are in the Premiership.
Yeah, and our Championship champions, I do believe.
10 points.
Yes, yeah.
We don't need to talk.
Yeah, we don't need to mention that. So I remember talking to you, I think, when Sam was here, which was a few years ago now, actually, 3 or 4 years ago. Sam, my nephew Sam.
Oh yeah.
You remember?
No.
Yeah, from Australia.
Oh.
And the script he wrote, and he gave to you.
Oh, shit.
And you sent it to Jeffrey Rush, didn't you?
Of course I did. Yes.
Yes.
Actually, it was brilliant.
It was really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
What was it called? Daintree Runaway.
Yeah, that's right.
That's it. Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah. No, I know, and well, of course, this was pre Jeffrey getting tied up in
his business.
Yeah. Sort of Me Too
He's
thing.
got a big payout for that in the end. He won his
Brilliant.
appeal.
Oh, that's really
Recently,
good.
about a month ago.
Really?
Yeah, and I was in contact with him, as a matter of fact. And,
Oh, that's awesome.
he's obviously pleased.
Well, say, look, I'm really... Send him another message. Say, look, I'm really, really pleased for you. By the way...
Yeah, that's right.
Do you remember that
That's
script I sent
right.
to you?
God, I've forgotten about that.
Because, no, that was really good. Really good. But anyway...
There you are, Sam.
I remember talking to you when we were in the beer garden. Last time we all met up, actually, when Sam was here. And I remember talking to you about acting. And you're a fellow Leeds fan, Yorkshireman, but still an actor.
I'm not Yorkshireman.
So, well, no, you're not.
Quite.
But you're an honorary.
8 miles.
Shut up. You're an honorary Yorkshireman.
8 miles from the border.
Leeds fan. That makes you a Yorkshireman.
Okay.
All right. Okay. But I remember talking to you and sort of embarking on that sort of what's your kind of process kind of question. Ooh. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I just remember you being kind of really sort of just really straight about it and just saying, look, it's make believe. You're very sort of not what I would expect, or certainly not what you see in a lot of interviews when you hear actors and actresses talking about inhabiting characters and things like that and everything else.
Yes.
And I remember talking to you and you were like, no, I just turn up and pretend to be that person.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember what I said on that occasion.
No.
And if you ask me about it now, it might just come out slightly differently. But I suppose, yeah, that's true. I mean, some people do make a lot of noise about deep mystical preparation. Well, mainly preparation. I mean, I worked with David Suchet for many years on the Poirot series.
Yes.
And he prepares everything. I mean, he even claimed to have read every Poirot novel that Agatha wrote, which would take quite a long time, actually.
I love the way you've been in the business so long that you managed to get the word claimed in there. Just in case.
No disrespect, but he feels that under those circumstances he has to do that. But I didn't feel I had to do that. I felt I had to go by the version of those stories that the scriptwriters wrote, and I didn't really need to know that.
Right, okay, right, yeah.
You see what I mean? I got plenty of information from the scripts.
Yeah.
For instance, in the books, my character, Chief Inspector Japp, unless you can't remember that.
I'll put a picture of the podcast because, to be honest, whenever I mention your name to anyone, they go, "No, don't know the name," and they get my phone out and see a picture and they go, "Oh, him! Yeah, I've seen him in loads of things."
In the books, apparently, he is a keen botanist.
Right.
Which means he does
botany,
plants and things, and has pictures of them.
Yeah.
Now that
plants.
That was not useful.
Yeah, absolutely,
and
yes.
It was never mentioned in the TV series. It was not considered. Whether that's disrespectful to Agatha Christie, I don't know. But
I see your point. You're not working from Agatha Christie's text, are you? You're working from the text that's been given to you.
Yeah.
And that's the creative vision for this project. Yeah. And you're saying, well, actually, no, I'm putting the blinkers on. And I'm just going to focus on that as opposed to going round the houses and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I mean, I always remember that I watched. There used to be a masterclass program on television.
American Bloke.
No,
inside
the
English
thing. I think. And no, I'm sure it was. And they had different.
Not inside the actor studio then.
No,
American.
It was an English thing. And I think they had different actors with a group of young actors doing it. The bloke did a masterclass, and there was one with Michael Caine, and this actor put his hand up and said, if it's the night before my big scene in a film, maybe the only scene, but before a big scene in a film, how do I prepare when I'm in my hotel room or whatever before I go in the next morning to do this scene? And Michael Caine said, you should work out everything, every gesture, every look, and every intonation of the words in your room the night before, in front of a mirror, and so that when you go in the next day, you know exactly what you're going to do. Now, I think that's the worst piece of advice you can give an actor, because it means when you're going in the morning and the other actor that you're doing the scene with does something that you really weren't expecting, suddenly you go like that or something like that, you're lost because you haven't worked out how you're going to react to that. So I think it's much better to leave it more open.
That's very interesting, because also, I mean, I was for some reason I thought you were going to say, you know, Michael Caine's advice was like, you know, get a good night's sleep or something like that.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, when it comes to stand up, I was always told early doors.
Don't sit down.
Yes, yeah. Stage one, yeah, stand up, but also never rehearse in front of a mirror.
Well, yeah.
Because that's just the way to ruin any self-confidence you have. And you're just self-conscious.
I agree with that, and that's no disrespect to Michael Caine, because I worked with him.
Don't worry, mate. Don't worry, mate. He's
really
definitely not listening to this.
Yeah, and he's a great admirer of me as well. I know he loves me.
Really? Well, have you ever come close to working with him over the years?
I have worked with him a couple of times.
Really? You sure?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yes. You want to know which films I did with him?
That would be ideal. That's almost the point of why we're doing this.
Sounds like I'm sort of boasting.
Mate, that's the whole point of this.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, Boastcast.
I worked with him on a film called The Fourth Protocol.
Oh.
Quite a famous film.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah,
it was a
terrible
film. And
you were great though, love.
Well, I was all right. I was a kind of watcher. I think they call them watchers, who kind of spy on people and follow them around, and sit in the backs of vans with headphones on, trying to.
Oh yeah.
And I was with him quite a lot of the time. I can't remember the plot of the film now, but I know it was some sort of Cold War the Russians are coming propaganda type film. There was a whole sequence on a train where he and I were following somebody on this train. And it was, a bit of an action, it was quite a gripping sort of sequence. We did it on a Sunday on a train from St Pancras to St Albans. Anyway, when I went to see the film, the screening, for the cast and crew, sitting there waiting for this scene to go on, and it wasn't in the film. I was really rather upset.
Oh no.
But if you get the DVD of that film, there's a picture of me on the back of it.
Well, I would imagine the DVD sales on that movie have just probably gone up a good 10% across the world.
Yeah, with Michael. So that was then. And then the other film I did with him was called Little Voice.
Oh, Little Voice with, what's her name? Horrocks. Jane Horrocks.
Yeah.
Horrocks.
Yeah.
Horrocks. Yeah. And she strikes me as a lovely lady.
Very sound.
Yeah.
Sound. Yeah.
Northerner though, isn't she?
Yeah, Lancashire.
Gonna be sound.
Lancashire. But,
oh well, okay, so hideous, but.
Yeah. Actually, there was a really good thing happened on that, because we all met. It was filmed in Scarborough, and we met. The cast, everybody met on the night before we started shooting in the restaurant bit in the Stephen Joseph Theatre in Scarborough.
Right.
So that there's
probably
you
closed
go
down.
Upstairs and there's like the bar, the theatre bar, but then there's a sort of restaurant section, and we were going to meet there. And I remember I got there. I wasn't particularly early, but I was going to meet all the other people in the film. The producer and the director and all that. And I got there, and there was nobody else there sitting in this restaurant except Michael Caine. And so, I went over and said, hello, Michael, I know you remember me, I was in Fourth Protocol, Phil, it was all this, let me get you a drink. As he said, let me get you a drink, the interval of the play occurred, and all these people came into the bar, loads of Scarborough people who were in the middle of watching a play.
Yeah.
And I said, no, listen, I'll go and do that. So I thought it might be a bit tricky for him with all those people. He said, no, it's fine. And I thought that was quite big of him to go into a crowd crowd, never sell ice cream, so that's big.
Yeah.
Going to a crowd of theatre goers.
Yeah,
and
as Michael Caine.
Buy me a drink.
Yeah.
And handle that, because obviously everybody wants to.
To be fair, mate, again, you've demonstrated why you do qualify as a Yorkshireman. Because the reason you remember that story is get me my fucking drink.
Yeah, get me a drink.
Yeah, Caine, get it.
Yeah.
Get back there and get it. No, I thought
that was quite sweet.
It's funny you should mention that because I've just watched the Batman trilogy because
I'm not in that.
you know, yeah, no, well, I don't know, no, but he is, and I was reminded of what a good actor he is.
Yeah.
Really was. So when did you start acting? The old boring. Oh, when did it all start? What drew you into it, or is it something you fell into, or did you have the whole Northerner? Did you have the whole Northerner Monty Python conversation? I want to be an actor.
No. What happened was I was in this youth club.
Yeah.
At our local church, East Retford Parish Church. We had a youth club in the town hall. The Ebsworth Hall, Retford Notts, famous building.
Blue plaque now, I'd imagine.
Unlikely, but it's just behind the church. It's the church hall.
Yeah.
And
these were simple times.
yeah, it's still there. I'm sure it is. And this woman came in and said, "Do you want to do some? Are we going to do some plays? Should the youth club do some plays?" So we did some plays, and she was called Ella Livingston. She was Dr. Livingston's daughter. Wife.
Really?
Dr. Livingston. Yeah, not that Dr.
Oh, right.
Another doctor.
I walked straight to that.
A doctor in the town. And I thought, this is all right. I like this. It's good fun. And
because to this day, as you said, it's just pretending, isn't it?
yeah, laughing about.
Yeah.
Apart from the craft.
Don't give me that shit.
And so when it came to deciding what I was going to do, I was at grammar school, Retford Grammar School.
Yeah.
Incidentally, I have to say that there was a drama group at the grammar school, but I did not get involved at all because the guys who were in that were really boring, very snobby sort of. Just not my thing.
Actors.
Yeah, but they were like, just not tedious, I won't go on about that.
Yeah, no,
Anyway,
I think everybody listening and myself knows exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So, when it came to choosing what I would do after I'd done my A-levels, I was definitely going to go to university. That was what I was going to do. I decided I wanted to do drama, although I didn't necessarily think I could make it as an actor, but I just thought I'd get in that world. And it was the 60s, and because of music and, the big working class drive of people doing exciting things, having opportunities, I think a lot of us were just looking around for a way out of conventional jobs. So I went to Bristol and did drama. You couldn't do it on its own in those days. You had to do a joint degree. So I did German as well.
So you literally had to do a proper degree.
Yeah, drama
as
and
well.
German.
Brilliant.
So
a career in German pantomime awaited.
Yes, no Brecht. Brecht.
Yeah, and what happened? You fucked up.
So I did a few plays when I was there, and that's when I thought, maybe I could actually do that.
And were you sort of conscious at that time, thinking, "Ooh, this is a moment"? Did a shaft of light come through the curtains, and you went, the fact that you kind of remember it now, and I'm sure as you through the mists of time.
After all these years.
Well, do you look back now and you think, yeah, actually, I knew at the time. I thought, actually, yeah, light bulb moment. I might actually be able to do this. Eke out a career.
Yeah, it was a bit. Yeah, it was a bit like that. Yeah. I mean, I think I was looking for an alternative
to work.
Yeah, just to work. No, it's bloody hard work. I'm sorry, it's bloody hard work.
Yeah. One does not just pretend.
No.
One becomes.
You don't
stuff.
see behind the scenes. No, but yes, there was a thing of, I could have been a director or something else in the.
Well, like you said, you did it in an attempt to just get into that world.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
But the acting you've done in your formative years, we'll call it acting. It was, obviously kind of really sort of early doors stuff, wasn't it? Entry level, and then coming out of university and going back into that. Steady. Coming out of university and going into,
unemployment.
I mean that's a risk, especially at especially at that time.
Well, yeah, it was. I mean, I think my parents, because I did German as well as drama, I think they thought that I'd finish up being British ambassador in Berlin.
I was going to say, weren't they massively disappointed that just a few years after the wars ended, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they take German and the lily-livered drama as well.
Definitely, they were petrified. You know, I mean, they didn't have a lot of formal education, so I think they were pretty terrified once they got on a few years in grammar school when you were bringing plays home by Racine. And
it starts kind of going, well, to that end, are they still with us?
No, they died. Yeah.
And did they get to see you become?
Oh yeah, they liked it in the end. Yeah.
I mean, that must have been. I mean, I'm presuming they saw Poirot.
Oh yes.
And they must have been so proud.
Oh yeah, they loved me being next to David Suchet.
Not quite David Suchet, just next to him. Yeah. Well done, son. You've become.
The hem of his coat.
Yeah. Well done, son. You're on screen with somebody who's successful.
That's right. I always got the sense that my dad didn't quite get it. He was very proud of me, and he liked to introduce me to his friends at the snooker and things like that. But he only quite got it, because I remember.
My father was exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very proud. Very proud. What does he do? Ask him. Very, very proud and supportive, but not quite sure
what's going on.
Yeah.
The one occasion that was not, when I'd been doing it for quite a long time, we were watching Sale of the Century quiz show. Nicholas Parsons.
Oh, that's it. That is it. Don't ask me how I know that.
Memories.
Oh yeah, it's quiz of the week live from Norwich.
We were watching that, and he said
from Norwich.
He said, "Why don't you get yourself a job doing this?" And I said, "What, you mean being a quiz show host?" Yeah. I said, "Well, I don't. That's not."
Derek Beatty, wasn't it? No, sorry, Nicholas Parsons.
That was Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know where I went off on that tangent.
When your husband comes back, a little bit the worse for wear.
When he fancies in bed and holds your head under the covers and calls it and laughs and shouts Dutch oven, do you A, smack him in the balls, B, murder him, or C, laugh and resolve to get him back?
That's very good. Did you just come up with that?
Yes.
Very good. So
thank you. Nicholas Parsons said to you, "Why don't you ever go to this?"
No, my father said, "Why don't you ever go and be Nicholas Parsons?" Well, Nicholas Parsons had been an actor, I suppose.
Yes.
Before, but then he wouldn't know that. He wouldn't be referencing that. Right. The other thing he said, which was a bit revealing, was when he came to see me giving my bottom in A Midsummer Night's Dream.
I can't believe you managed. I can't believe you got a laugh out of me on that. I can't believe you've done that to me.
I don't know what's funny about it.
Fuck off.
We did it, the RSC small scale tour, which toured around lots of funny places, and we did it near where they were living at the time, in Wolverhampton, from there, near there. And I don't know whether you know, but that character bottom turns into a donkey.
Oh right, okay.
An ass. And
probably get a game for West Brom.
Yeah. And when we came back, afterwards. Actually, my mum told me that. She said, well, I can't believe we spent all that on his education, sending him to university, and so it will make a bloody fool of himself, messing about, dressed up like a bloody donkey. And bless him, you know.
A very simplistic view.
Well, he wasn't even being taught about Shakespeare and all that.
Yes. Yeah.
So I found that quite moving in a funny sort of way when he said that.
Yeah, no, I yes, because well, again, it's you know, it's love, isn't it? That's a fatherly expression of love in a way.
In a way, but he thought he did. I think he said, you know, making a fool of himself in front of all these people. Well, that's your job as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like and you know, since the days of kings and court jesters, that's been a job.
You were going to say queens then, weren't you?
I wasn't, but I can if you like, kings and queens.
And court jesters. Yeah.
But the life of an actor to me seems to be. I mean, as you know, I do stand up and sing in a band and stuff, and my my world, my concepts, you know, are like, you know, it's funnily enough, stand up is I can actually relate to acting as well, because stand up is constant. There isn't a season, there isn't a busy time, there isn't a slow time. It's just constant. Well, actually, there is slow time, August, but But essentially, you're living gig to gig.
Yeah.
You know, and as an actor, I mean, literally, you're living gig to gig, as in, I'm going from gig to gig to gig to gig to gig. Yeah. But as an actor, same thing. You are living gig to gig, and presumably, isn't that what I'm getting at is, when you start out, that's got to be a constant source of anxiety. Is there a point in your career where you go, do you know what, I think I can start relaxing? Or do you just learn how to manage the anxiety forever?
Probably the latter, yeah. I mean,
right.
when I first came down London, I had other jobs alongside being an actor. Like, for instance, I was an audio secretary.
Right.
So, which meant there was a bureau, and they sent you to offices to type letters, mainly solicitors' offices.
Right.
And in those days, they recorded the letters on a tape recorder.
Right. Okay.
And then you put a headset on.
Oh, right. Yeah. So you were a copy typist.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they call it audio because
because you were listening to tapes.
And the reason I could do that was because my father had a shop that sold typewriters. So when I was young, I didn't have toys. I had typewriters and adding machines. And Poirots.
Oh, God, wow! You and Tom Hanks. If you ever get on a set with Tom Hanks, your career could change, mate.
Yeah?
Well, you know, he's a massive collector of typewriters.
Typewriters, doesn't he?
Oh, you and Tom, mate.
Well, I haven't got any.
No, yeah, I know, but you've got the story, you've got the history, you've got the, I grew up surrounded by typewriters. Tom sitting you down. Yeah. Come here, Phil, tell me all about it.
Was he talk like that?
No, not at all. Not at all.
How old was he?
Yeah. Come here. All of a sudden, he's a mob boss.
Is he a Leeds supporter?
Yeah. Oh, mob boss, I thought was
Russell Crowe.
Yes, yeah.
Anyway. So that was one job.
Yeah.
And then the other job, which I really rather enjoyed, was minicab driver.
Oh, right, okay.
And in those days, it was much easier to be a minicab driver because they gave you a radio that you put in your car and you were on.
Yeah.
You could choose the hours you worked.
Oh, yeah.
And my call sign was Fortune 41.
Still remembers it, kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to get messages sometimes. Fortune 4141, Fortune 41, and then I go 41. They say, message 41, call your agent. Right. The guy who said that didn't know what he meant, but it meant I was by my accent to see if I would.
It meant call your agent.
It meant call your agent.
Yeah.
See if you
So you have to drive around and find a phone box then?
You find a phone box. Yeah.
Ring your agent and say, do you want to do the Das commercial?
That's right.
Second extra from the back.
That's right.
Do I get a line? No. Do I get paid?
No, I
No, just free Das. I'll take it.
I did do a few commercials in my 20s.
Well, it's just, look, whatever you have to do to survive, really.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's the thing is, I think we're almost full circle now, because now I think as if you're a gigging comedian, a working gigging comedian on the circuit in the UK. You can just about have a half decent existence, cover a mortgage with a partner, etc. But if you suddenly start getting into the world of voiceover,
Yes.
that can make all the difference.
And a lot of
really can.
People do that.
Yeah.
They've got good voices.
But going back to thank you very much. Going back to those jobs, do you think? Not that I guess eventually you're going to become an actor, and you're going to go from job to job, and you're going to go from
No, never. That never happened.
No.
It never happens to any actors. I know it looks like it does, but
yeah. Okay, fair enough. I fucked up there.
obviously you get established at a certain level, so you pick and
Yeah.
choose.
You pick and choose, or
Yes.
but also is there, I guess at that point, is there also a danger of people going, right, well, he's established, not typecast, but you're established for being that kind of guy. Not, and I don't mean typecast,
Detectives.
but well, not exactly. Yeah. Do you want to be a detective?
Yes.
Right. It's a film. It's set on a train with a French detective.
Yes.
Right.
Belgian.
And no. It's French, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and it's called Parrot.
Yeah.
Are you in?
Right.
Can I play as a Yorkshireman? You can. I'm in. Right.
I'm in.
Yeah, but no. The point I can't even remember the point I was making. I've just gone off on a complete tangent.
Those jobs.
Did they? Yeah, because I kind of went off on a tangent about your potential future, but working. I don't want to use the phrase with normal people, but just being like having an ordinary life. That's important.
It's very important, and my adventures in the. I haven't got any story.
You haven't.
About,
You fucking said you had loads.
About being
Why do you think we're here? Why do you think I bought you a bloody beer?
Being a minicab driver.
End of interview.
Yeah. Cut.
Let's go again, love. Go again, love.
I met some interesting characters when I was being a minicab driver. And to be honest, I've worked with Mike Leigh.
Yes. Wow, yeah. Now that's the name.
More than once, 3 or 4 times. And
he just couldn't get rid of
if you haven't got that background, if you've only spent your life being with actors, theatre folk, you can't really work with him, because the process that he has is that he makes you think of loads of people who your character might be based on when you start a project with him, that eventually will whittle down to one. You don't impersonate them in the end, but if you haven't got a load of people that you can remember from real life,
you fucked.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why his work sort of like it is, because they're all.
So I'm interested to hear more about your Mike Leigh experience.
Right.
So is it literally no script? Okay, now you've got a scene, and this is where the scene starts. This is what I want to have happen in the scene, and this is where the scene is going to end. And how you guys make that happen is get on with it.
It's not like that in any way whatsoever.
Brilliant, awesome. Right, I'm going to get another beer in, and that's a perfect place to just like pause for a second.
Is it all right then?
No. It is for me. I'm sure it's for hell for you. It's plenty of time yet, mate. It's plenty of time yet.
Yeah, you want to ply me with alcohol, so I'll say something very controversial.
Nah. So, due to the miracle of the pause button, we are back. So, it's nothing like that working with Mike Leigh.
No, and
Right.
what it is that you have a very long rehearsal period.
I've got my directors mixed up, I think.
Oh.
Who's the other one I'm thinking of?
I don't know.
The other. If I'm, and this is
The other one who makes it up as they go along.
no. The other kitchen.
Which is not what he does.
The other kitchen sink drama expert. If it's not Mike
Ken
Leigh.
Loach?
Yes.
Right.
I think I've got him confused.
Well,
Have you worked with Ken?
No, I've not worked with Ken.
Right, well that is how he works. Fuck you, I got it right.
Did he?
That is how... Sorry, I got my Kens.
Right.
And...
But he does have a scriptwriter, doesn't he?
Right, okay.
He does.
I
He
might
does
just
have-
be
he does
talking
have a
pure...
script. No, but he probably does.
I'm talking bare shit, bruv.
No, you might not be. I don't know how he works with it. I know he has a scriptwriter, so there is a script.
Well, look,
Mike Leigh doesn't have a script.
I've taken us off down the fucking totally wrong road. Actually, no, Mike Leigh doesn't have a script. So no, I've got something wrong along the way. I'm going to shut up because you've actually worked with the guy and I know nothing. What was it like?
So what he does is...
You said you worked with him 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I did a play very early on, when I was a young lad, where at the Theatre Upstairs Royal Court, which was actually called Dick Whittington and His Cat, but it wasn't a pantomime.
And where was what theatre was it?
Theatre Upstairs Royal Court Theatre.
Liverpool.
No, London.
Oh, right.
Upstairs, the theatre, the small
Oh, right.
theatre,
Okay.
studio theatre.
Got you.
And it was called Dick Whittington and His Cat. But it wasn't a pantomime. It was about a character called Dick Whittington.
Now it'd just be called Dick and Pussy, but there you go.
So what?
And that's why I do what I do, and that's why you do what you do.
You're right.
You're goddamn right.
So right. Yeah. So, and Paul Copley, you know the actor Paul Copley?
Yes.
You know, he played, he's from Denby there. He played...
Love him.
He played Dick, and he came down to London, and he was on Oxford Street, and he met this cat, played by Tim Stern, but he wasn't really a cat. He was like somebody who sort of conned people. Anyway, I won't go on about that.
Right.
Wasn't,
Interesting.
Wasn't his most successful work, but he was a good laugh.
Yeah.
And then I was in
That was the
film,
problem. It wasn't supposed to be a laugh. Yeah.
a film called High Hopes.
Oh yes.
And then,
Yeah.
I was in Peterloo, which is a more recent film.
Yes.
No, what he does is everything that happens to you hard to explain actually. Your relationship,
I think
your
you're
interaction with anybody else in the thing has to be gone through in rehearsal. So if you've got a sister, say, who's going to be in the film, you go through things in your childhood so that you both know what you're on about. And then when it gets nearer the time...
In your own childhoods or the childhoods of the characters?
No, the character.
Right.
That gets done in rehearsal.
So do you improv that rehearsal?
Yeah, you improv all that, and somebody writes it down.
Right. So do you learn? So is that a managed situation where he's saying to you, right, okay, he's giving you the information you need there and then, or are you given that? Are you given that to read? You giving character studies?
Yeah, you start off, as I say, telling him loads of people. You give a sort of a brief,
right.
Then you come with these people, and then he'll say, well, let's focus on this fella. And then you sort of talk about that person for a bit, and then he starts the scenario that he's obviously got things in the back of his mind where the thing's going to go,
right?
But you don't know what that is.
So you've got to bring 4 or 5 characters to the table, and he's going to pick the one that he likes, that he thinks is going to work for the vision he's got in his head.
Yeah, exactly, and also in relation to the other characters, and then you work with him on your own.
Oh right.
Until the character gets to a point where they're going to meet one of the other people in the play, one of the other characters, and then you do improvisations with them and build it up to a point where he wants the film to start what it's about. And then you might have done the scenes that you're going to film sometime during the rehearsal period, or it might be a completely new scene, and say 2 days or even the night before, you'll improvise the scene so that when you go on the set to do it, it's fixed what you're going to say and do.
Yeah.
It's rehearsed.
It's rehearsed, but it will be improvised. It's a rehearsed improvisation?
No, when you film it, it's fixed. The dialogue's fixed.
Oh, right, okay, right.
Yeah, you fixed it in the final rehearsal just before.
Oh, I love that.
See what I mean?
And I love that.
You might get the odd bit that comes in.
Yes.
If somebody has a stroke of genius, they might.
Yeah, but that to me is is actually quite similar to stand-up, which is and this is a really interesting sort of crossing of the swords, if you like, because stand-up is very much about you start off with the kernel of an idea.
Yes.
And then, well, how I work is I'll work it out with a crowd. I work it out in front of an audience.
Oh.
So it will just be dropped in, and all I know is that I've got the general concept, and I know where the gag is.
Yes.
Often for me, the setup is actually harder, because when you come up with a joke, you know what's funny, and when you laugh, well, the line before that was the punchline, great. But getting the setup right to make sure you get the most out of that line is what's difficult. So what you do is, I will work it out and workshop it, if you like, in front of an audience, and then when I get it working, I should be able to get 2 or 3 laughs. Whereas you start out just wanting to get 1 laugh, and then you build it, and you've got 2 or 3 laughs, and you go, right, okay, that gag is now. That now worked, and works. And now, to borrow your term, and why I find this so interesting, is that's now fixed.
Yeah, it is.
Because the work has been done in front of audiences,
right?
And this is how this joke works with these words, and literally, especially with comedy, when you're getting down to editing, when you're getting down to the editing stage, literally, once you've got the words right, you cannot or should not be able to remove or add or change any of those words, because if you do, it will mean the joke doesn't work as well.
It'll unsettle it.
Yes.
And it's very interesting you say that, because I've worked once or twice with comedians who've been acting, and they're always very aware of the mechanics of jokes, of how, I think Bob Monkhouse is often mentioned in that, because his construction of jokes is like particularly classic, kind of clever sort of.
Well, the one golden rule, it's like, when people say to you, "Oh, you're a comedian, are you a funny man?" "Oh, I tell jokes. Oh, I know someone's funny." And occasionally you get the old, I don't know, I've never been very good at telling jokes, or anything like that. And I go, "Really?" And they're like, "Yeah, any tips?" And occasionally it does happen. Any tips? And it's always the same, and that is most people who think they can't tell jokes, and most people who tell stories that don't quite get laughs. It's like, probably because you've said, "I've got a really funny joke for you," and then tell the joke.
Right.
Well, no comedian ever comes on. No, because instantly you've just raised the bar so high. But there's no surprise, but you've also raised the bar. You've raised the expectations. I've got a brilliant story for you. I've got a funny story for you. I've got a really funny joke. It's like, no, just do it. That's all, and that's always the advice.
But that thing about the mechanics, like, if you're in a play on stage, and there's certain moments that get laughs.
Yes.
Certain lines that get laughs, and then you've done it maybe 30 times, and then you do it one night.
Didn't get a laugh.
Yes, exactly. That surefire line that
Didn't
gets
get a laugh.
Didn't get a laugh.
Because
so
you
think, wait a minute.
Because you threw it away.
Because something changed.
No, because you threw it away.
Might be.
You didn't because 29 nights before you delivered it, you got a laugh, and tonight you just did it. You didn't do the delivery, and you didn't get a laugh, and that's why.
But sometimes you don't know, and you have to think. It might be that you'd slightly put the emphasis on another word, or you looked away, or you did a look like you looked.
But this is that's
have the same.
That's exactly what I mean. But you can have fluctuations like that.
Yeah. But
what you can't have is, and it happens. I've been through exactly that. God knows how many times when a joke, comedians have it all the time. Like, this joke, it's worked for months and months, years and years, and it's stopped.
Decades,
it's stopped working, and it's always the same example. And the weird thing is, I work with people in business as well, and say the same things to them.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time they're top people, like they're not delivering like they used to. Blah blah blah. And it's the same thing as a comedian when you're not. It's because you have become so familiar with if you're in business, with your pitch.
Should be. Yeah.
You've become so familiar with your lines. You've become so familiar with the gag.
Yeah.
That what does familiarity breed? Contempt. Yes. Yeah, so you stop. Right. You stop delivering the gag because it doesn't need it, because it always works until it doesn't work.
Right.
And now you've. But the weird thing is, from a comedy point of view, sometimes you can actually never recover that gag. You actually have to drop it. Sometimes you know what it is, and next time you do it, you give it the full beans. Everyone laughs, and you go, "There you are."
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hit it.
Yeah.
You hit it.
I'm on the money there.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like, no, you've just
Can't get it back.
yeah. It's kind of weird.
Sometimes to do with timing, isn't it?
Well, that is. This is way too much on me at the moment, but the one thing that British people are absolutely obsessed with, if you're a comedian, within a couple of minutes, British people will ask you about hecklers, and that is the singly most depressing question as a performer I think I could possibly be asked.
Right.
Because you spend years working on your art, your craft, whatever you want to fucking call it, right?
Yes.
And within 2 minutes, somebody's asking you, so how do you deal with completely untalented fuckwits who just shout out because they're pissed and want to ruin it for everybody and because they think everything's about them?
Yeah.
And it's like, brilliant. I've spent all those years working to get to this point, and within 2 minutes, you're asking me about the general fucking numbskull public. Thanks. Right? No, the thing is that
You deal
that
with
for
it.
some reason over here, we're obsessed with that. But the point I was actually trying to make, timing, and it's the same thing. Because some people are always like it must be quite handy when decklers get involved in it. And it's like, well, has your job ever been improved by somebody stumbling in, usually pissed, who knows nothing about how your job works and decides to get involved? Has that ever worked out well for you in your life? No? Well, guess what? When you have spent, as I'm fond of saying to audiences now when somebody shouts out, it's like, mate, at no point in my career have I sat down and spent hours and hours working on a gag and thought, leave pause for pissed up twat to shout out here.
No, I didn't. Yeah,
you know,
right.
and that is that basically.
I mean, sometimes.
So timing, I hate them.
But no, but sometimes it can work to your advantage because if you come up with an ad lib, hits it right, the audience are with you more.
Oh, absolutely, and there and don't get me wrong, I work with audiences. I'm just. It's just that the whole concept of how that people think that hecklers are somehow a help or people even think to actually do it. It just always makes me think, wow, that is some kind of fucking idiot. But anyway, back to you.
No, you don't have to come back to me.
No, we do because
do we?
I'm on all of these, and
I see.
you're only on this one.
Oh yeah,
and
but this is your show.
I haven't worked with Mike Leigh though, mate.
This is your show.
Today, it's your show.
Okay, but you could work with Mike Leigh. Loach has a history of working with comedians that he's seen on clubs.
Well, there you go. They're brilliant.
Up north.
I just need to get a fucking recommendation, I don't know. But I wish I knew somebody who could give me one.
Right.
But I know you say you haven't worked with Ken Loach, but does it? So I'll let you off. Working with Mike Leigh, we were back to that process. Sorry, listeners, it's been a big old tangent to get back to this point. So you have that rounded character. Now, he picks the character he wants from you. You give him you say like there's this person, this person.
Yeah.
He picks the one he wants,
and that's who you're going to base it on.
Yeah.
But not. It's not an impersonation. It's just that person you've got that in there in your head when you start doing it.
But that is really interesting as well.
It's just a way of starting, really.
It is. But it's really interesting, isn't it? Because it's actually rather than the impersonal, let's say, arriving on a movie set, and you might do a read through. You might. I mean, I am aware that rehearsals are less and less these days because of financial pressures.
Except for Mike Leigh.
And who's basically that's part of the film. But to take the opposite example of people turning up on set and just basically starting to act together.
No, that happens. Yeah, a lot.
Monday morning, ta-da! Here we are.
Okay.
And so the minute you'll start that first scene with somebody, you're literally like. Oh, like a boxer in the first round.
Yeah.
Oh, right. This is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I was kind of going to do this, but I might have to change what I'm.
Exactly, and that's why it wasn't good to do it in front of the mirror.
Yes.
Know your line. You have to know your lines properly.
So to get you to this is like the opposite of that of that process, whereby not only are you not just walking in and starting to act, but your director has even chosen the person that you're going to base that character on.
Yeah, right at the beginning, which is a long time back when you actually start shooting it.
Right, and so this is this done on the phone?
No, in the room.
Right, and are these many visits over a period of time before you start shooting?
Yes, I mean 3 months, 3 or 4 months rehearsal probably for a film before you start filming it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because you have to go through all the stuff with other characters. The big example.
Ah, right, because we were getting to that point where you said, but when you first have to interact with another character, that's the first time you meet that other character.
Yes. And you might do things from, if it's a family, from childhood. You might go through some improvisations of a family. So in High Hopes, like the Edna Doré character, her son, played by Phillip Davis, and her daughter, played by Heather Tobias, they would have done a lot of work, 3 of them, with him, to investigate what happened when they were kids and going through until they meet the other characters.
Right.
There's a very good example of somebody thinking they weren't going to be in a play. There's a play called Goose Pimples, which was about a group of people who go back to somebody's flat after they've been in the casino all night, and they bring back a character who they've met, a rich guy who's been gambling, who they've all met that night, which meant that the actor, it was Anthony Sher, who played that character, didn't meet anybody else in rehearsal.
Bloody hell.
Can you imagine this?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So he only worked with Mike Leigh to get his character going and find out how he was and all that for many, many weeks.
Yeah.
Until he got the other characters to the point that it was this particular night when the play starts, when they come back from the casino.
Yeah.
So Anthony Sher said after a few weeks of this, I think I don't want to do this. I want to leave. I'm not doing this. I'm obviously not in it. Because he knew that all the other actors were doing loads of rehearsals, but he wasn't doing any. He was on his own.
Yeah.
When in fact he's the leading character.
Right.
So sometimes it's a bit frustrating.
Yeah, but I can understand why. So I'm presuming then that the whole thing is filmed chronologically.
No.
Right, okay, my head's going to explode.
This is a stage play.
Oh, right, okay.
That was a stage play. So,
hang on, right, that was all for a stage play?
Yes.
Right, okay. Oh, right.
Yeah. So only the last few sessions of rehearsals would involve the whole cast, because all the stuff was background work until they started doing the scenes that happened, which would become the actual play.
Yeah.
Which was all set on that one night in this flat. The whole play was. So.
That's phenomenal.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Sounds a bit weird.
Yeah, but everybody, I'm in love with the process, man.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's all about. Every band's process is different. Every comedian's process is different. Every actor, every business, every company, every family, every person has a process to things.
And it is great
the way
fun
they do
doing
things.
that, because every day when you go in, you don't really know what's going to happen next.
Well, you say great fun, and yet you've just given an example of somebody that it wasn't great fun for.
But I mean, you don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, there was a point in that High Hopes, because I played this guy at this garage, and we'd got the improvisations, the sort of backstory, the history going up to a certain point where he hires a secretary to be in the garage, second-hand car dealership. Now, I knew, because instinct told me that character would become my girlfriend stroke wife. I just knew that's what was going to happen. I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that, but I can in the back of my mind, I knew that. So I was very interested to know which actress was going to be there when I opened the door and went, "Oh, are you the new girl, or are you, interviewed for the new girl?" So that was kind of, I think there was a point in that when I think I probably it wasn't quite going in the right way, so the relationship wasn't developing along amorous paths to suit what Mike Leigh definitely wanted to happen. In other words, that they became an item.
Yeah.
And so he sat me down once after one of these implies and he said, "Listen, does he fancy her or not?" And I said, "Well, yeah, sort of, because he's a twat. He fancies anybody." He said, "No, I know that, but are they going to get together?" And I looked at him and I knew that there was only one answer to that question because of...
Yeah.
So they did. But yeah, that's an instinct. You can't say that. You're not allowed to say, "I know you want me to say that these two are going to get together." I shouldn't even... If he listens to this, he might tell me I'm talking bullshit. But you sort of know. You sort of know. But the rule says, it's against the rules for me to say, "Is that what you want to happen?"
Yes.
You wouldn't say that. You have to say, "All right."
But also I think that's such an interesting way of directing as well, because it's not right. Okay, obviously there's all kinds of different directors, but it's so far removed from what I want from you is more of this, or what I want from you is more that sort of very much the word directional. It's almost like you're having a debate with him.
It's different notes.
It's like you're being encouraged down the right path, but he's not going to tell you to go down the right path, and you're not going to say...
Yeah, it's in your hands. You're more creative. For instance, he would never say, "Right, when you come in the door, I think you should walk over here and stand there," which they do in the theatre, more conventional theatre. You never say that. You say, "All right, come in and do what he would do," because you know the character so well, you can't really do anything wrong.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Because you are that character, and you're. Yeah. I guess it's at that point as well where acting starts to kind of blend with. In fact, just being broken down to its more basic parts, as we were speaking about right at the beginning, which is it's not even acting; it's just being someone else.
I dispute that. Good. Because there is control. There is a thing. You are. He if you said that to him, he'd say, "No, that's not true. You're not just being them. You're acting them." But it's very unique. But he's devised that way of working.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing. And by the sounds of it, you really enjoyed it. And having worked with him so many times,
3 times.
Yeah, there's plenty of people who've never worked with him.
I know most directors only work with me once.
What, and after that you decide not to work with them again?
No, they just never...
I was giving you an out there, mate. I was giving you an out.
No, you weren't. I've got to go for another pee now.
Well, do, because that was just fantastic. If you can find any more of those stories while you're in there, that'd be great. So, yes.
Well, it has to be said that most actors can't do that kind of work.
Good for you. Good for you. Put that out there.
No, it's true. Because they've been...
Can't knock the truth.
Yeah, they've been taught...
You just get your...
I'm dangling a bit.
Yeah, you're dangling a little bit.
I'm a bit flaccid.
Yeah, you have, I'm afraid,
Flaccid of Featherstone.
Hang on a sec.
Do I have to say that again?
No, no, I just paused it, so...
Yeah, but that's because they've not been... Their training has not equipped them to be able to do that.
Would you say there is a case for, and I'm sure there is.
Euthanasia?
I think you've got a few good films in you left, mate. But
Yeah.
Let's not.
There's your title.
Yeah, a few good films.
Euthanasia.
Yes, like you say, a lot of actors can't work like that. Would you say the word I was picked up on there was training? And would you say that sometimes training is counterproductive? Or just does it depend on the individual? Some people can have just, some people have got it. Brad Pitt, come on. The guy's a great actor. Leo DiCaprio, and plenty
did they
of other...
go to drama school? I don't know.
Well, maybe they did, maybe they didn't.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is, it's like, no, these are, exceptionally talented individuals at what they do.
Yeah. Sure.
And there's always... So I guess what I'm saying is, if you go, drama school, the learned processes and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Is it good to, what have you done? Have you taken a bit of them all and found your own? Done none of them?
Well, I going to Bristol wasn't actors training. You learn everything about.
Yeah, you just wanted to. Well, you just wanted. Yeah, you wanted to be in the industry.
Yeah.
So
you weren't. Although you did love acting.
Yeah.
That was just part of it. I remember the first week in the drama department in Bristol. They taught us how to use a washing machine because they wanted you to know what happened in the wardrobe.
Brilliant.
Theatre wardrobe.
Yeah, but that's good for them.
How to make scenery and.
But do you know what? That is no different to how the great Dutch football club Ajax treats their footballers, which is when you come through as a kid, you have to play in every single position in the football team, including goalkeeper. So when you reach an age where they decide the best position for you, you've played all the other positions, so you know how that person wants to receive the ball because you've played that position and you remember exactly. And it's that's a real kind of attention to detail, isn't it? And a real sort of building that respect for the whole organisation rather than
that's what it did. But this thing about actors most actors can't be bothered with all that business that Mike Leigh does. They can't be bothered with all that faffing about. And they'll just say, "Give me the script. I learn the lines, and then I'll say them."
Right. Beautifully done.
Well, I've met. We wouldn't work in
I know you have,
theatre when I was young. All actors were like that. They wouldn't be saying, "What do you mean? What does the character feel like?" They wouldn't know that. They don't.
So that conversation where it's like, look, does this guy fancy her or not? That presumably that actor would have been. Well, I don't know. You tell me. You're the director.
Tell me what to do.
You're the director. Direct, God damn it. I guess no. Do you know what? I can now see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
Do you know what? That's probably me. That would probably be me as an actor. Would be like, oh, just fucking direct, will you?
Yeah, just tell me.
Yeah. It's like, don't give me 5 directions and say pick one. No. You point me in the direction you want me.
That's right. So, I'm saying most, and I think it's. I mean most. I mean, I might be doing some people down. I'm not going to mention any names anyway.
But I would imagine.
Although I know some who have embarked on that process with him.
Yeah.
And walked out before it went very far.
Oh, really?
And they're not hired, but going for an interview. Because I tell you what he does if you go for an interview / audition.
Well, I was going to say, so not an audition, an interview.
Well, or whatever you want to call it. But he might talk a little bit about the general area that it's going to be. I mean, you're going to make a film about Peterloo. You're pretty certain it's going to be set in the early 19th century, and most of the characters are based on real people and real events and all that. But if you went along, he might say something about the fictional thing. And what he would then do is say, right, I want you to think of somebody, and I want you to pretend to be them in this room. I'm going to go out 10 minutes now, and then I'll come back, and I just want you to be them. Pretend to be them in the room. You can use anything in the room. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to talk. You don't have to say anything. And you don't have to pretend there's anybody else around, but you're just you on your own in this space. So, first time you come across that, you think, no, I'm not sure what thing is, but he literally means that. He just wants to watch you inhabiting somebody else or thing.
Do you know what? The weird thing is, listening to that, sat opposite you, it makes so much sense. But I kind of also know that if I was listening to this on the radio or on a podcast, I'd be thinking, God, that sounds absolutely
really
ridiculous. But
it's not.
That's actor wankery.
Yeah, but it's not actually.
Yeah, no, but I can see that in your. But I can see that in your eyes.
Yeah,
you know,
you're not going for the Olivia Award doing this. You just have to do that and just pretend to be somebody else for a few minutes and sort of investigate how they sit and what they do. Now I know an actor who went up and saw him. I'm not going to say his name. Actually, I can't remember his name. Oh yeah, no. Who went? I think.
I'll tell you later, folks.
And this interview took place in his office, his film company's office in Soho. So he was in the office, and Mike Leigh went out and left him to become this person. Mm-hmm. And he obviously hit on playing this person who was not very stable mentally. And during the course of what he was doing, his improvisation, if you want to call it that, involved getting files and folders and shit, papers off the desk and setting fire to them and chucking stuff out the window. For real.
So has really bought into the process.
Yeah. So when Mike Leigh came back and saw him doing this, because I was interested, he told me about this, you see, the actor.
Right.
He didn't go mad, he didn't say, what the fucking hell do you think you're doing? He fucking destroyed my office. He said, okay, tell me about this person and what was going on.
Wow.
So this is all part of the process, see if he can work with you, really.
Yeah. Presumably they went their separate ways, those two.
No, I think they worked together. No, I don't think they did. No, they didn't.
I was going to say that'd be a right pain in the arse, having the script set on fire every morning.
Yeah, no.
But it sounds like that was. I mean, we've spent a lot of time talking about it.
Yeah,
I think because I think it's worth exploring. Because to be honest, I don't think his process is so shrouded in mystery.
Yeah,
it's so unique as well.
Yeah, it's not mysterious, really. I mean, you get so mad if people interview and say, "So, when you make the film, you make it up as you go along." Don't you? Nothing will.
Hang on. Do you mean what I said right at the beginning before we started talking about this?
I wasn't referring to that.
Oh, right, okay. Just make sure he doesn't hear this.
No, but that would infuriate him because it's not.
Yes.
It's not like that at all.
No, I completely understand that now.
It would be unwatchable.
But again, I think that's why it was worth staying the course with this, and we haven't talked about it too much because we've ended up in this place where I started with the probably most uneducated, lifted quote or whatever, and I go, oh yeah, he just puts you in a room and tells you to do it, and you're like, it's nothing like that. And we're now at a point where I think if you're listening to this as well, you've kind of come round full circle to no, it's exactly not that.
That's right.
I can't believe that. Well, I can't believe I was part of it a few minutes ago. That his whole process is you can be so reductive. You just make it.
Yeah. No. That's what people they're not likely to understand because you don't know what goes on. But
also, is he quite cagey about the actual process? So hence, that's all they have to go on.
No,
or is that just lazy assumptions?
No, I think he's happy to talk about it, but there'll be some parts of it that maybe that he won't. I mean, you don't really know how much he knows before you start, because he's obviously got an idea.
Right.
I mean, people are giving him money to find, they're financing this movie without knowing fuck all what it's going to be about.
Yeah, but basically, the guy is a genius. No matter which way you carve it,
Definitely.
no matter what way you look at it.
Yeah.
from an acting point of view, from that point of view.
Completely.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's great.
So basically, he gets a load of money together from a load of backers. He gets a load of actors, and no one knows
Yes.
what it's going to be about.
And he's won an Oscar.
Oh, it's brilliant, isn't it? Absolutely brilliant.
It is. Yeah,
And it sounds like that's. Do you wish more people would work like that? It's just.
well,
Does it keep it interesting for you?
Yeah, but you sort of what you do when you've done, because there are a couple of other directors who sort of do a bit like that. One of whom was a director called Les Blair, who I worked with when I was young, who did it in a similar way. It wasn't quite so. People used to say it wasn't quite so Stalinist about the rules as mine. But
Great cultural reference there.
Thank you.
Do you get one of the kids?
And it does make you. It sort of rubs off and changes your attitude to more traditional.
Do you know what? I so want to make a comparison between Mike Leigh and Marcelo Bielsa right now.
Yes.
And people listening will be like, who? Is he an Italian director? No. At the beginning, I mentioned that we're both Leeds United fans. Marcelo Bielsa is the manager of Leeds United, and he approaches everything completely differently to everybody else. He approaches. He doesn't get loads of people. He doesn't make loads of signings. He wants a small squad, and he just makes people better. But you have to absolutely believe in his methods, or you're out.
Absolutely true. The parallels correct.
Yeah.
All that. And also I'm sure he's actually got a lot of rules for himself, like rules about how it works. And Mike Leigh, there are a lot of rules. Like one rule is that you can't talk about
anything. What he does.
No, you can't talk about what goes on in the room to another actor if you're going to say something that would have influenced their character. It has to be something that you've experienced together in the thing. So if a certain person once that I work with broke that rule, because when we were going home in the car, I was giving him or her a lift home, and he or she said, "Oh, you realise so-and-so."
That's a great he or she accent.
He's coming out with what's her name, and I said, "I don't think you're supposed to tell me that, because I'm only supposed to know that through the improvisation."
So did you grasp him or her up?
Yeah, I went in the next day and said, "Mike, him or her."
Yeah.
Of course I didn't.
And did you get brownie points for it?
No, I didn't say anything. Of course I didn't.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but there are a lot of rules. It's very strict, quite strict.
So you were kind of gently sort of pulling him or her up and saying and just saying, look, you probably shouldn't have told me that. Yeah. How'd she take it?
He or she?
Oh, damn it. Oh, you're good. So have you were you on the complete tangent now from that work of genius?
Was I on
to
what?
Mike Bassett England Manager.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah. You were in that.
Was I on it?
You were on
I was
it.
in it.
Yeah, you were on it. You bang on the gear in those years.
Is it a cult film like that?
Well, you got a few letters right.
I like it.
Funnily enough, I know the guy who wrote it. He lives in Chiswick.
Oh, right.
He lives in.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen him since we did it. There were two of them.
Well, he lives in Chiswick. He's done loads of other things
Which
as well.
one's he though?
I don't know.
Something Smith.
No.
There were two guys. They were great. They were out there. I got very close to one of them.
But he's
had a problem in relationship, and he was a bit sad when we were there.
Oh,
when we were out in Rio.
You what?
When we were in Rio.
In Rio.
We filmed the World Cup finals in Rio.
Fuck.
At the Maracana.
Oh, guys, it's a hard job, isn't it? Oh, it's a tough life, isn't it? In the Maracana.
We were in the Maracana. We met Pele.
What?
Telly's in the film.
Oh, but I haven't watched it for a while. All right.
Yeah.
Fucking
You're queued
hell.
up to get certain shirts signed.
You met Pele.
Yeah.
You're filming in the Maracanã in Rio.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a hard life, isn't it?
It was amazing.
You've had it rough.
It was fantastic.
That's brilliant. I mean, but again, that's the kind of experience where you go,
Yeah.
fucking hell, I'm getting paid for this.
I love this job.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you get on a plane and, they say, we're landing in Rio de Janeiro in 13 hours or whatever. I mean, you just think, And if you're sitting next to Bradley Walsh for the whole journey.
You think they can't pay me enough?
Exactly. He's lovely, Bradley Walsh.
No, really lovely chap.
It's
lovely
before
chap.
he did the chase.
And now everyone knows him.
And yeah,
Before he had a number one
did the
album.
Street,
Before he had a number one album as well.
I know.
Amazing career.
Yeah.
The ant and deck of his generation.
Completely, yeah.
Yeah, all singing and all dancing. But Rio, that's
But what
just
were you
amazing.
going to ask me about Mike Bassett?
Well, actually, it was just whether you knew the writer. I
knew them both.
Well, I'm going to reintroduce you guys, and I'll tell you.
I'd love to see it.
I'll tell you how I know
just
him
gonna look.
once we're off air. It's Rob is his name.
Yes,
Yeah, Rob's his name. Right, hang on a sec.
that's right. You read it for me.
Right, no, yeah, we're going to pause for names here. Hang on. So yeah, Rio. That's that's a shit job, isn't it?
It was terrible having to go there.
Yeah.
And, but
Ricky Tomlinson was.
Ricky,
So you were working with Ricky.
He was the manager. Yeah.
Yeah, he was
and Bradley was the assistant, and I was a sort of Laurie McMenemy figure.
Yes, I remember,
I
yeah.
was having Mac.
Yeah.
I was a car dealer.
Did you watch the Graham Taylor documentary? The Do I Not Like That?
Do I not like that? Yeah.
Have you? Because
A long time ago.
yeah, well, I can still quote lines from it. Righty, let's see a bit of celebration. Hey, can we not do that?
Yeah.
Hey.
Can we not? You've lost me my job.
Yeah, I'm a meter. Hey, which is incredibly relevant now.
It is.
Graham, he knew what he was talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Excuse me. Watch what you're saying. You're talking about another human being there.
The linesman, you just lost me my job.
Yeah. Could you tell the referee? That you just lost me my job? Yes. I'm a meter. Yeah. People listening to this like, what? Yeah. But a great documentary nonetheless. My favourite part of that whole documentary is when Alan Shearer's being interviewed on a balcony by a TV company.
Yes.
And Alan Shearer's about to answer a question, and you just hear Gaz's voice in the background going, I'm just a thick fucking Geordie.
Thick fucking Geordie.
He's just a thick fucking Geordie like me. Brilliant.
Happy days.
Happy days indeed.
Happy days. No, but I have to tell you one thing very, very quickly. That one evening when we were in Rio de Janeiro, Ricky called me up and said, hey Phil, he said, you know what that bar is, don't you? Where Thingy-me-bob, Ronnie Biggs hangs out. Ronald Biggs, right, the great train robber.
Yeah. Another great cultural reference.
No, but I said, well, vaguely, yeah. He said, I reckon we ought to go up there. And I said, why? He said, I think we should get him in the film. So I said, well, all right.
That's pretty hands-on, Ricky.
Yeah.
He's inviting you out for some drunken audition.
No, he wanted to get him in the film. So
Right, okay.
I said, well, yeah, all right. He said, well, can we go up there?
Hang on, how do you know where Ronnie Biggs lives?
It was a thing in a tourist thing that said that Ronnie Biggs hung out in this area and there was a bar where he drank.
Right,
And he lived there.
and you mentioned this casually in company, and now Ricky Tomlinson thinks that you know Ronnie Biggs' address.
No, not his address, but the bar.
Oh right,
Anyway,
okay.
he said, listen, Phil, what are you doing tonight?
Great.
And I said, I don't know. And he said, let's go up there. And he got this driver to come and picked us up and took us up to this area. So we went in this bar, cut a story slightly short, and there was a woman there, and Ricky said, is this the bar where Ronnie Biggs likes a drink and all that? Liverpool. And she said, yes, you come here. A bit racist, not it?
I was just going to say, you can do all the accents.
Why am I doing these accents?
You can do all the accents,
well.
can't you? And Mike Leigh never trusted you for an accent, did he?
He said, well, is he coming in? Will he be coming in tonight? And she said, no, I don't think so. No. And he said, well, and he brought a letter that he'd written. And he said, can you give him this? And I saw the letter, showed him the letter before he gave it to him, and he said, dear Ronnie,
hang on, are you sure you want to commit this to an interview?
I think it's all right.
Okay, go for it.
My name is Ricky Tomlinson. You might know me from blah blah blah, shop the thing, Brookside and the
Royal Family and all the rest of it.
The Royal Family.
Yeah, the McCain adverts.
Okay. I did a voiceover for McCain actually.
Yeah, he does them all now. If you were wondering where all the work went. Yeah.
And he said, we're here filming this thing, blah blah blah, and football and all that. I wondered if you might like to be in the film. More or less that.
Right, okay.
And we could meet up and have a little chat. And
Yeah.
Put it in there, gave it to the woman, and we left. That was that.
Yeah.
The next morning, I got a message from maybe it was on a phone call, from my dear lady wife, and she said, I think I must have told her what we're doing. She said, what have you been doing to Ronnie Biggs? I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, he's been taken away from Rio. The Sun newspaper got, I might be wrong about that, but some newspaper had got him. Taken him away, had taken him back to England. That day, that night. In other words, we missed him because he'd gone. Yeah, we missed him. He was no longer in Rio, and it was all that thing.
So he'd been in Rio. Let's get this straight as well. He'd been in Rio for about 20 years. Up to that point.
Yeah, and this literally was the actual day that he left. I think a newspaper whisked him away, and then he served sentence, didn't he, in England after he got back?
I can't remember these days, but something like that.
Anyway, so it was that particular night. And now Martin Bashir, the reporter, was in this film as well, in our film.
And famed amateur rugby player, yeah.
Yeah, down for P, actually, I forgot. And sorry, I just finished this. And me and Ricky said, we went out, told to Martin Bashir, we went up to the thing's bar and he's left and he's left. And Martin Bashir said, yeah, I knew all about that. I was at the airport when he left. Sorry, Martin, but I don't think you were.
Brilliant. Well, it's funny. It's funny you should move on.
Let me rabbit on.
That's what this is all about. No, so you are known for a few sitcoms.
Yes.
So what would people know you from?
What was that?
Well, Raised by Wolves. That was the Caitlin Moran.
That was a real favourite.
That was a favourite, and also, unfortunately, a victim of dumb fuck decisions by TV executives.
I don't know what happened.
Well, can I honestly, speaking as somebody, as a stand-up comedian, right? The way, looking at what you do, I don't know how any film has ever been made. Right, because as a stand-up comedian, you get the call, here it is, this is the money, this is the date, this is the time, this is what they want, yes or no. Oh, I'll just chat it over with nobody.
Right.
Yes or no. And then that's it. And then they get there, and then it happens, and that's it, right? And you are on this scale of, right, okay, we'd like you to, would you like to, be in this movie? Would you like to be in this TV series?
Yeah.
And then And then you just have hundreds of people descend upon the process, and just to give this a little bit more of context. I know everybody listening knows how movies work and all the rest of it, but just to give it a little bit more of context, a friend of mine, another comedian, we always chat about committing the perfect murder and how we get away with it and all the rest of it. For
everybody?
Of course, and we're comedians, it's what we do. Right. We're a little dark. And I remember him saying too, we met a copper once and he wanted to know, and my mate said to him, right, okay, so here's my plan. Right, so basically, me and a mate, and the copper just said, can I just stop you there? I said, yeah. So, you've just been caught. I said, oh, right, why? I said, well, you just increased the chances of you being caught by 100% by having an accomplice. So it's over, it's done. You're out of here. Yes. So the point I'm making is, the more people you add to a process,
I take your point.
It's just like, how the
hell? I mean,
it must be so frustrating to be on the end of some decisions that are just made by people who are so far away from what actually is good or what is happening, or that must be.
I mean, it's changed in that respect. Certainly, like the BBC one-off films, one-off dramas that used to take place when I started off, Play for Today, which replaced the Wednesday play. You probably don't even know what that is.
I was going to say this is going down really well with the podcast listeners.
It was one-off dramas.
Yeah.
And it used to be the Wednesday play. So every Wednesday night there'd be a one-off 90-minute or 75-minute, 90-minute film. And the next day everybody was talking about it.
Well, this was event TV before event TV had been invented.
And in the 1970s, the British film industry was the BBC, because Ken Loach, Mike Bassett, Mike Leigh, Dennis Potter, all those writers came through that system, and that the British weren't making. They were making Confessions of a Gynecologist or things like that. But those were the British films that were being made, not serious, searing working class drama. We're talking about.
Yeah.
A bit like Anthony last night. That made me think of those days. Actually, it was a one-off drama on BBC. It was just sensational. It was fantastic. But what it meant was that there weren't the producer, say Tony Garner, in those days. As people here listening on Poirot would go to the powers that be and say, right, this is the thing. This writer has written the script. Blah blah blah. Who's going? So-and-so's going to direct it. We're going to have. Well, you actually didn't need to say who you were going to have in it. Then they would say, if they liked the look of it, go off and make it. And 6 months later, they'd come back with the finished product. Now, it's almost essential that you have somebody who has not long ago appeared in a soap opera.
Yeah.
Withdraw that remark. That's a bit simplistic to say it like that. But what I mean is...
Well, no, you don't need to withdraw that remark. I think people know what you mean.
Yeah. The bosses have control over certain areas that never used to be. That used to be creative decisions, not...
But again, I think that, and unfortunately, this is market forces. The world we live in is that
the world's changed.
Yeah, and you basically make less money from stuff, especially if it's creative endeavours. And so there has to be, for instance, once upon a time you were making BBC programmes for Britain. Well, now if you're making a programme for the BBC, then it's got to be, they're looking at BBC America, they're looking at a world audience. Therefore, it needs to be representative, it needs to be inclusive.
I understand.
But the funny thing is that representative and inclusive in this example is actually a money decision. It's not about, oh no, let's be inclusive. It's not about let's advance women's role in the workplace, right? It's actually about, no, do you know what? We need to appeal to as many people as possible.
What's going to sell?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's why working with somebody.
But hey, inclusion and forced inclusion. If it leads to inclusion, then that's great.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm working with somebody like Mike Leigh, even in this day and age, still gives you the thing that it's just you and him.
It's, I mean that's to come back to that, that's why it's so incredible though.
Yeah.
What he does.
Yeah.
That is
But
why
also-
it is so. Just
Yeah, it is.
it's of an era.
No compromise.
Well, it's no compromise, but it's of an era that it's like basically things have changed, and he shouldn't be able to operate like that anymore. Do you know what I mean? He should be.
So, yeah.
He should have the people saying, "Hang on a minute, no."
Yeah, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could have this and you could have that, and can't you have somebody from a soap opera in it?
That's right.
And it's like,
Yeah.
no.
You mentioned Raised by Wolves,
Yes.
Channel 4 thing.
Yeah.
Kathleen Moran, well, the Moran family, Moran sisters.
Yes.
Family.
That was 2 series, wasn't it?
Yeah. But that had the feeling of that. It was just you and them, and you did it, and they hadn't. It seemed like they didn't have to compromise in any way.
They were just all
told
over
their
it.
story, and that's what it felt like. And everybody in it felt like that. It was very creative. Very good vibe.
But fans of that show as well were diehard, because I remember seeing there was a crowdfund. There was a crowdfund.
Series, yeah.
What was it? Now the crowdfund was to make one more episode, wasn't it? To use that to pitch.
I thought they were crowdfunding, trying to crowdfund.
Yeah,
the third
and
series,
unfortunately,
but they didn't get enough.
Well, not by. Yeah, I mean they got about 15%.
Yeah. Interestingly, this week, a film has opened, which is based on Kathleen's book.
Yes.
How to
Build a Girl.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon.
That's just
it's on
come out.
Amazon,
I
isn't
haven't
it?
seen it yet. I haven't seen it, but apparently it's very good.
I've heard. Yeah, I've heard.
Wolverhampton accents might be a bit dodgy, but
But write what you know.
yeah,
That's.
yeah, they're great.
Which is something. I mean, obviously being a comedian, then I write, and a musician as well, so I write.
I know.
Do you write at all?
I've tried, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I get very enthusiastic about an idea and get some way along in a great burst of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
But I haven't got the stamina.
And it withers on the vine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've done that many times.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Same here.
And that's
Writing. I can write sketches. I can write I can write gags and all, and I can write dialogue. If people say like look, that's the person. That's fine. I can knock dialogue out all day. But actually, sitting.
It's a long thing.
No.
I mean, I wish I could. I've written.
I do.
Little bits. And, we had a pitch for a comedy series with me and a pal a few years ago, and we got a certain way along the road. It was quite encouraging. But if I was a professional, if I was really, really on it, really wanted it, I could have carried on. But I'm lazy as well.
Well,
I'm actually quite lazy.
Well, I know what you mean. I think, but also I think as a performer,
Yeah.
you are, and when you've been a performer for so many years, I think that you're kind of conditioned to.
Yeah.
You need quite a high level of not just engagement but of reward.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
can't sit on your own for a long time.
Yeah. And I
reaction.
no, it's like no, I can't wait. I can't wait for somebody to commission this in 3 fucking years. Are you joking?
Exactly.
It's like no, I'm writing this now.
No, I know.
And that's always been
Yeah.
kind of my sort of.
But you see, younger generations of actors now are onto forming production companies and instigating their own work. We never dreamt of doing that. I wish
But you couldn't.
had.
Yes, but to a certain extent, it was a closed shop. You didn't have the internet. You didn't have power to. You didn't have power to be able to make a film in an afternoon and put it online for the whole world to see that night.
Yeah, that's right.
So I wouldn't be too hard on yourself.
No, I'm not going to give myself a bad time about it. But I wish that, because occasionally if I had certain ideas, I'd know who to talk to take it on, or would advise me and things. And I admire people, I admire writers particularly who get these things and really
But I think you're right there. I think the key is the setting up as a production company, isn't it? It's the and to be honest, in this day and age, I mean, you know, everybody's walking around with a production company in their pockets.
Yeah,
Just
completely.
film it and post it.
That's right.
Which is, you know, incredibly freeing and. But like you say, the generation coming through, also, I think I've seen an opportunity of maybe reversing all those years of the actor being dependent on the studio. If you own the studio,
well, sure, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
You actually only need to work when you really want to work and do stuff that you want to do, because you're producing creative stuff anyway.
Yeah. And we were like, for a long time when we started, just so excited and grateful that we were in it. Come on, we're doing this job and it seems to be working out all right. You know, we're paying our bills, and you know, some things are more interesting than others, obviously, but it's great. You know.
Yeah, but also, and again, you know, that sort of feeling as a kid when you've as a kid, early days in your career, that's, you know, you're not looking 20, 30 years down the line and thinking, do you know what? Let's knock up a production company.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, let's form a production company, and then we'll, instead of in the lockdown, sitting around doing fuck off, which is basically what I've done, we could have actually, I mean, I was in 4 months, four and a bit months now.
Yeah.
Think how much I could have done if I'd got that instinct.
Do you know what, mate? Do you know what? I tell you what. Do you know what we could have done?
Yeah.
Right. We could have filmed an entire trilogy just in that little park opposite your house. That little one, yeah. I mean, I live around the other side. We could have come in. We could have just waged war in the park.
Right, yeah. Well, at least you're doing a podcast.
Yeah, but so are you, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Right now. Actually, do you know what? I think that's the perfect place to leave it. I really do. That's the perfect place.
Are you sure about that, Howard?
No, really. I am, yes.
That sounds wonderful.
Phil, it's been. Look, let me chink you.
Just to prove we're in the pub.
Just to prove we are in the pub. That's been really enjoyable. Even more enjoyable than it normally is.
Well. Yeah, we'll do another one. There's other things we can talk about.
Oh, good Lord.
We can have a series.
You'll be back on, don't you worry, mate. Yeah. Howard and Phil go to the pub, part 2.
Yeah. We could have a podcast about Pod, the cricket guy. You know about him?
No.
I did this radio series called Ed Reardon This Week. Have you ever heard it? It's about of an embittered middle-aged writer called Ed Reardon who... it's a 13 series on the radio. But this guy...
That's not brilliant, the way you just look at me and go, 13 seasons on the radio. Yeah, I know. Just the withering look in your eyes. 13 years of my fucking life.
It's not that famous, actually, but it's really good fun.
Do you know what? I've heard episodes of it in Comedy of the Week drop into my podcast. So yeah.
But
and it is, you're right, very
Chris
funny.
Douglas and Andrew Nichols, who write Ed Reardon. Chris Douglas plays it.
Do you know what? I take it all back.
No.
You're absolutely... No, I know this. It is very funny.
It's quite funny.
It is very funny.
I play a film director who's a contemporary of Ed called Jazz Milvain, who's had quite a big career in Hollywood. He's now embittered and everything. But anyway, he's been going on. But Chris Douglas and Andrew write a thing called Pod, a guy called Pod, who is a cricketer. Now he's an ex-cricketer.
Oh, right.
And it's all about how he'd done a deal when he was playing for Derbyshire. It's all Derbyshire, Nottingham sort of area.
Right.
How he'd done a deal with a local double glazing company to get that logo on the side of his car. 10 grand, mate. You can't knock it, can you? But he's supposed to be a great cricketer, but he's not really. So it's quite good.
Well, we'll pick up on the life of Pod in the next episode.
All right. I've not been in the life of Pod, but...
well, you know, doesn't matter.
And there you have my my interview with Phil, and what a great fun that was, and what a great chat it was. And I have to say, I've been doing podcasts for a good 5 years now. I've been listening a lot longer, and what I have found really annoying in a few podcasts that I listen to is after the interview, they then sit there and slap themselves on the back and go on and on about what a great interview it was, and then recalling parts of the interview. And I don't know about any of you, but I sit there thinking, I just listened to it. You don't need to remind me what happened immediately after it happened. This is not, I do not need an action replay. I have listened to the interview you've done. Yes, it was good. Yes, it was enjoyable. But that doesn't mean that I'm now going to enjoy listening to you talking about it. So I am going to avoid that. And I am going to assume, yes, I'm making an ass out of you and me, but I am going to assume that you listened to it, you got out of it what you got out of it. There's some interesting stuff in there. There was some not so interesting stuff in there. Sometimes the pub noise in the background was annoying. Sometimes it wasn't, etc., etc. As long as you got out of it what you want to get out of it, that is the main thing. And thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, on with the rest of the podcast, which basically means me talking about stuff that I've watched. And I've really gone above and beyond, guys, this month. I've watched a lot of movies and TV for you. I've really put in the hours. I've really done the work. Part of the whole month that I've been away from you, I was spending a week with my mum up north in Yorkshire. So tend to do a lot of movie watching. And anyway, right, some of these movies, some of these are TV. Let's get stuck in. Last Flag Flying. Love this movie. It's on Amazon. If you can find it elsewhere, I don't know. It stars Steve Carell, Bryan Cranston, and Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah, that's right. I mean, what with those three lead actors, you are going to go, I'm in here. Well, yeah, you should be, and that's all you need to know. It's great. Check it out. Then there's a movie that's been out for ages, and I've been meaning to watch it and never got round to it. And it's a movie called The Founder. The Founder, and the founder, the lead in it, is Michael Keaton. And believe you me, you start watching The Founder, within a few minutes you're just going to go, yeah, I'm in. Because the whole movie starts with Michael Keaton pitching. He's a salesperson, and he's pitching you to camera off the bat, and straight away you just go, I like Michael Keaton. I'm going to watch this. And it's great. For those of you who don't know, it is the story. It's called The Founder. It's the story of the founder of McDonald's. It's not necessarily the story that you are expecting. So, well worth a watch. Really enjoyable. And culturally relevant, kids. Next up was Spaced. That's right, the TV show Spaced, with Simon Pegg in it. How can I have not watched that already? How can I not already be a fan? Well, you know, some people missed it first time because we were fucking busy doing other shit. Well, all I can say is, to those of you that absolutely loved Spaced, it's very difficult to get into all these years on, and yeah, pretty much impossible. So, sorry. Don't think I got it at the time. Definitely not going to get it now. Next up, The Old Guard movie on Netflix. Quite a few people you might have heard reviews of this. I absolutely loved it. And I am probably going to watch it again. Yep, that's how much I loved it. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, just a slightly different take on the superhero vibe. Now, I know it's kind of like, oh god, really? That again? The new take on the superhero vibe? Yeah, I know that is definitely in vogue at the moment, but this is just beautifully done. Absolutely beautifully done. I just really enjoyed it. Worth checking out, without a doubt. The Old Guard. and I'm just trying to find out. I'm just trying to remember who was it that stars. Charlize Theron, that's it. But seriously, it's worth checking out. Really enjoyed it. Next up, totally surprised me. This a 2-hour movie/documentary called Klitschko. Yep, on the Klitschko brothers. Now, I am a boxing fan, I'll admit. But unfortunately, like a lot of people, due to financial pressures, I've binned off Sky Sports, and before I did, I made sure I watched everything I could on it, and I watched a 2-hour documentary called Klitschko. Now, I'm a boxing fan, so hence I watched it. But do you know what? Anyone could watch that film. It's incredible. Their life story, the two of them, really is like a movie. I mean, I just thought it was going to be, and I should know better because the Klitschko twins are incredibly grounded, and you just know if you know their history that they've done a lot of good. Well, I thought this might be a little bit of a vanity project, which is very easy to do when you're a couple of millionaire twins, and you just pay people to make a film and go, right, yeah, make it look great. It doesn't do that at all. It's like the two of them. It is real. It's authentic. It is fascinating and inspiring in equal measure. Now, I know that what this must sound like, and I know some of you will be thinking, just the name Klitschko and they're two boxing brothers. No, please, no. Give it a go. Seriously, give it a go, because this is about so much more than boxing. I mean, to give you an idea, it's a 2-hour movie. If there is 20 minutes boxing in it, I'd be surprised. I mean, seriously, actual boxing, actual footage. It's about so much more, and that is not me saying it's about so much more than sport. No, it really is. It's called Klitschko, and it is a documentary on those two brothers. It's not a documentary on those two brothers and their boxing careers, because there is so much more to their lives. I think I've got my point across. I will move on. Next up, I've got something. The Courier. That's it. I tried watching it. I started watching it. I only got 5 minutes in and I got distracted and started watching something else. So I put it on my list, but I didn't watch it. My apologies. It's probably not that good. How dare I say that? Now, I watched all 10 episodes of, on Netflix, Warrior Nun. Now, I know what you're thinking. Even the title, Howard. Why did you bother? Well, I am a worshipper at the altar of Buffy Summers. I am a massive Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. I was when it came out. I watched all of Angel. I love Joss Whedon. Big fan of his stuff. Until the rest of you discovered him when he started making feature films. But and I just like the idea of this teenage girl just basically having this thrust upon her, not even in an inherited kind of power. Now, I enjoyed this series, but good God, it was like pulling teeth. I mean, for a start, Netflix, okay? Listen up, here's where you went wrong. So, 10 episodes, fatal mistake right out. Off the bat, you know it's a mistake because you now make all of your first series and original series tend to be 8 episodes. This should have been 8 episodes. It really should. And to give you some idea of how frustrating this is, it's not until episode 9 starts and there's some action and some intensity and you go, oh, right, okay, this is what I have been waiting for. This is what this program has been promising right from the very beginning, and it's episode 9 of 10. Well, of course, if we could have made that episode 6 of 8, that would have been a lot better. Now, I swear there is 2 extra episodes in here purely made up of incidental characters having like 8-minute one-to-one dialogues where they do their character's backstory. In episode 8, some backstory of a major character is revealed. And it's like, literally like, oh, let's just say, in case you're going to watch this, somebody who comes across as being as pure as the driven snow, and then in one episode, we find out that they've actually got a horrendous gangland past. But the thing is, because it hasn't even been hinted at, there's been no foreshadowing, nothing. You go from somebody who you've totally accepted over all of these episodes to be completely pure. So when you see this other side, I get that writing it, they might have gone, oh, this will be a great surprise for the viewer. It's not a great surprise for the viewer. You sit there and go, oh, no, not a chance. No, it's just completely unbelievable because you haven't foreshadowed it, you haven't hinted at it in any way, not even any looks, nothing. So, character, basically, it's a 180 character change in one scene. And that doesn't work. You don't go, what a great surprise. You go, no, that's completely unbelievable. I realise I'm going off it on Warrior Nun here. But seriously, and the lead actress, female actor, the lead female actor, she's great. She's great, but she's also seems to be operating from a script that was written by somebody who doesn't write dialogue for anybody else in the entire series. So you've got this one character who's got really cool, witty dialogue, and it's got a great rhythm to it, and she's sarcastic and she's funny and it's brilliant. But it's kind of jarring up against everybody else whose dialogue seems to be written by the next best person, because the best person is doing the lead character's dialogue, and then everybody else who's not as good as them is doing you get the feeling, okay? You know where I'm coming from. So ultimately, will I be watching series 2? Yes, because there's enough to go on here. Purely the lead actress herself. I found her performance just really fascinating, and I think in a good way. And it's Alba Baptista, and she's fantastic. Really, really, really good in it. And funnily enough, I'm on my Netflix app at the moment, and I'm just flicking through, and you start out with a 1 hour episode, and after that they're down to 40 minutes each. And it really does, it's an opportunity missed. But I have to say, second series could be really good. Next up is the exact opposite. It's a movie that I've seen before a few times, and it is a great movie, but it gets a little bit lost. People don't really know about it. Maybe you do. The movie is called Fallen. That is Fallen, and it stars Denzel Washington and John Goodman. Now, all I can say is, if you didn't see this first time around, then it is really, really worth catching. It's a young Denzel. It is a slightly different kind of Denzel, because he's a lot younger. I'm just trying to think who else is in it. Gets a solid 7 out of 10, nothing brilliant on... that's it, Donald Sutherland's in it. Look, and it's really weird, because James Gandolfini's in it as well. This is it, because it's that era. So you've got a young James Gandolfini with a massive, horrendous tash. You've got a young Donald Sutherland, a young John Goodman, and a young Denzel Washington. Do you need any more reasons to watch it? By the way, yes, I am well aware that how hideous, after the Me Too movement, that all-male cast appears. Believe me, there is some female actors in it as well. So anyway... In fact, there's one shout out that I have to give is Embeth Davids. She's in it, and she's really good. And when I was watching her, I was thinking, I know you from something. And I'm terrible at this. Well, no, I'm not terrible at this. I'm actually pretty good at this. If I recognise an actor or an actress, I'll call it out. I said actress again. Sorry, you're just gonna have to deal. And to this end, I watched. Fucking hell, I watched a film from way back. Anyway, no, I've gone off on a tangent. So, anyway, Embeth Davids, and I was thinking, who are you? She plays the Queen in Evil Dead Army of Darkness. I pulled that one out of my arse, I tell you. I was high-fiving myself watching the movie when I got that. I was just like, oh, that is so bloody cool. That really is. So yeah, really, really, really enjoyed that. Fallen. Watched it again. It is. I wouldn't call it a horror, but it's a psychological thriller with supernatural elements. It can be horrific. It's threatening. You know, it is threatening by today's standards. It would have a mild threat. No, it's a lot of threat. Okay. Next up after that was Most Wanted, which is a true story about a Canadian civilian who the FBI imprison in Korea, Cuba, for being a drug lord. And basically true story. Really well acted, really well done, period piece. But my main queries with it are that it's run on two separate timelines, which is kind of weird because everybody looks the same, but clearly this is like 10 years ago, but everybody looks exactly as they did in the previous scene. So it's kind of weird like that. And that threw me a little bit till I realised what was going on. Obviously, you'll know what's going on right from the off now, thanks to your mate Howard here. But yeah, so that threw me a little bit. But I mean, it was great. But do you know what? A fascinating story. But I wouldn't watch it again. And the reason I wouldn't is that, and fair play, because like the movie Dark Water is a true story, and they don't dramatise it; they just tell it, and it is horrifically impactful and incredible. I just feel that approach here just didn't quite work. There weren't any stakes. There wasn't any jeopardy. It's one individual here, and not a particularly likable individual. You're not particularly rooting for them. So in that case, it's like, yeah, you've told the story it is well told, but it's quite, I don't want to say mechanical, but it is very much, Janet and John, 1, 2, 3. It's like literally storytelling here we go, here's the beginning, here's the middle. It's just, there is, like I said, there's no stakes, there's no jeopardy there. And at this point, you start thinking, right, okay, so why is that? Why am I not, as engaged? Why am I not like wanting this character to get justice when they clearly, and that's because it's like, well, yeah, is it, I don't know, it's probably done something though. I mean, I jest, but the point being is that you are never rooting for the main character, and you're never rooting, well, I say the main character, that's where it gets a bit complicated as well, because you've got two main characters. You've got the main character who's in prison, you've got the main character who's going to get him out, and the time is split between the two of them, and they've both got massive arsehole streaks. So it's, and as I'm talking to you about it now, maybe that was one of the issues that I had, was just that the characters aren't very likeable involved in this. But even so, I just still feel that it's a dramatic tale. But at no point do you feel the drama. It's like it finishes and you go, okay, well, I know that story then. I know how that finished. I know that guy went there, and it's also fairly straightforward when you actually know all of the story. You're like, okay, right, so that's it then. Right, well, okay, so let's go. Anyway, watch it for yourself. I might be talking utter crap. I might have been in a bad mood, whatever. You never know. But Most Wanted, worth a chat. Now, I really enjoyed Underwater. That was, it's just, it's not The Abyss. It's not Alien. But it is kind of loving both those movies. And it's really good. Kristen Stewart is excellent. Vincent Cassel is in it very briefly. But I really enjoyed it. TJ Miller is amusing as always. Now, I've just noticed, I've looked at it on IMDb, and it's getting a 5.8. Now, I've got to be honest, that's why I don't go on the IMDb ratings at all, because I'd give it a real push. With the wind downhill with the wind behind me on a very good day, I'd give it an 8 out of 10, but it's not really an 8 out of 10. It's Morley a 7. Morley? It's Morley a 7? What the fuck? Anyway, it's definitely worth a watch. It's not rewriting any books. It's not going to be your favourite movie. But if you're in the mood for something like that, you could do a lot worse than Underwater. Next up, the movie Violence. there's a lot of violence in it, in case you didn't already know that. There's a lot of violence in it. I kind of thought it was going to be a different movie from reading the description, so my suggestion would be don't do that, because when I read the description I thought, now that sounds cool, and I imagined a movie that is a lot better than this one. Now, your own imagination invariably is never going to let you down, and is always going to, give you something that you're going to enjoy. And that's my own fault. That's my own failing there. I would give it a watch, but whatever you do, just remember, it's called violence. Don't expect too much from it. Although the film does punch a little bit above its weight, because it does try and deal within the movie. It's kind of winking at the fact and being ironic. It knows that it's a movie full of violence based on a violent character that is in a comic book. And so during the movie, they managed to address comic book violence, violence in movies, violence in society. So there is that discussion going on within the movie. But again, even so, when that's going on in the movie, I felt it was all a little bit wink. Do you know what I mean? It was literally like, wow, you just delivered all of that dialogue about comic book and movie violence without ever looking at the camera and winking at us. Well done, because you could have done. And finally, I have really got totally blindsided by this one. It came new on Netflix, or maybe it didn't. It just came up on Netflix, and it was on my list. And I thought, oh, well, I'll give that a whirl. Why not? And it's a TV program made by the BBC called The Fall, and it stars Gillian Anderson, who I like, and that's one of the reasons why I started it. Who, by the way, I can assure you, in real life, is an absolutely lovely woman. But anyway, I just thought, wow, stick it on. Within 15-20 minutes, I was just completely and totally in. And Gillian Anderson plays a really rounded, well-written character who is an incredibly passionate police officer, well, detective, right up the top, but also an incredibly dispassionate person. Unpassionate. Well, God, I'm not going to make up any more words on this one, right? I promise. Dispassionate person. So it's weird. She's a very passionate policewoman, or rather detective, but a dispassionate person. So one of these people that just says what is required at the time, no matter what the social situation. So yeah, you can appreciate that there is some odd bits of business, and honestly, the first episode, 1 hour. After that, if you've watched that, if you don't want to watch the next episode straight away, I'll be very surprised. Now, this is a little bit of a spoiler, okay, but there are 3 seasons, and I'm only halfway through season 2, okay. Now, all I'm going to tell you is why this series is a bit different. Everything I've told you about it. Jamie Dornan stars as a serial killer. She is on the hunt of a serial killer. That's not a spoiler. That's how it all starts. That's why she's there, is to track him down, to head up the investigation, which is in Belfast. And the whole thing is set in Belfast, which is really nice. It's refreshing. It's different, different accents, different kind of dialogue. It's just all different, which again, like I said, I cannot speak highly enough of. So anyway, the first season is 5 episodes. The other 2 are 6 episodes. They're 1 hour each. And as episode 5 in series 1 started, I just thought, I've really enjoyed this, but this is going to be a bit of a rush, like her catching him in the space of 1 episode when we've had 4 episodes building up to it. And then the 5th episode finished at the end of season 1, and I was sat there going, oh, right, okay, so that's not how we're doing it? Because, well, all I can say is season 2 carries on from the end of season 1. And it's like, oh, right, well, I thought we were going to have 3 seasons, 3 serial killers. But as I speak now, halfway through season 2, I do not know what is going on or what's going to happen. But what I can tell you is, It really is worth a watch. And again, one of the reasons I think this is, by the way, it gets an 8.2 on IMDb. I'm not always going to do this, but it is interesting. The series is written, right? Well, it's created by Alan Cubitt. It is written by Alan Cubitt, and it is directed by Alan Cubitt. And seriously, this, you can tell that there's that purity of vision, that one person has been allowed to really just let their vision come to reality. Someone at the BBC has said, let this guy have his head, let him go, just let him do what he does, and you won't be disappointed. And I'm glad they did. So there you go. Look, that's all of the stuff that I've been watching recently, and obviously there are other podcasts available in this suite of podcasts. There is the Talking Bollocks podcast, which is heavy metal and comedy. There is also the Movie Bollocks, as you've heard here. And if you become a patron, as mentioned up front, you can become a patron, and you can, for $5 a month, get as much extra content as you would like. So go to patreon.com/Howard H. Smith for more details. I've just realised I didn't mention it up the front. This is now 2 hours into the podcast. It's virtually not even worth doing because there's so few people listening by this point. Believe it or not, that's true. People do snap off before the end. But anyway, you didn't. So thank you very much for doing that. If you'd like to sign up at Patreon, please do. If not, there'll be another Movie Bollocks, no matter what you do, next month. Thank you very much for listening. Stay safe.